Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of Burton Ballers. And today I'm going to be talking midfielders. And this is based on a story that came out from Dean Jones from Eurosport, who said that Chelsea may be interested in Jude Bellingham if they can't secure a deal for Declan Rice. This report also goes on to talk about the likes of Ruben, Loftus Cheek, Ross Barkley, and some other players that Chelsea may be thinking of offloading between now and the summer. So before I get into this video, guys, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on all post notifications so that you'll be notified every time we make a new video.
Welcome to the Burton Ballers. Ain't got no time for no stallers, yeah.
We are the risers, we're not the fallers. Our channel is growing wider and taller.
Yeah, we're here to give you the news about your dear beloved Blues, yeah.
So if you like this YouTube channel, like, subscribe and turn on that bell.
Yeah.
Right, so this leading story today came out from Dean Jones. And the story says that Chelsea want Jude Bellingham. Frank Lampard likes Ross Barkley and the players who will leave. So I'm just reading from there, and apparently what they're saying is that Chelsea have got a dilemma because Lampard, he would love to sign Declan Rice from West Ham. He's his first choice. He's always been his first choice. That's why I don't think we went for Partey, because Lampard is keen on Declan Rice. The thing is, Declan Rice used to play for Chelsea. He already knows the setup. He's friends with a lot of players. He went on holiday with your Tammy Abrahams, Ben Chilwell, and Pulisic, I believe, and who was the other guy's name? It was the right back, Reece James, and Mount, obviously, his best friend. So you've got Mason Mount, who's his best friend at the club. He's also captain in West Ham at a young age of 21 when Mark Noble's not in the side. So he's got those leadership qualities. Frank Lampard likes the way that he's a talker. He's got personality. So these are a lot of things that impresses Frank Lampard about Declan Rice's game. A lot of Chelsea fan base don't rate him. I think he's a good player. I think he's got the leadership qualities we need. He's underrated on the ball because some people don't think he's tactically aware. Great passing, short and long. He can dribble, and apparently he's got a decent shot on him as well. He doesn't shoot a lot as often, because I'm listening to a podcast from former West Ham employee. He was on the Alex Goldberg podcast today, or probably it was when England played Belgium actually, but I just listened to it today. So it was interesting seeing this story coming out and then listening to this podcast, because Chelsea were interested in him in the summer, but like I've been saying throughout my videos, we didn't make an official bid. That's because we couldn't offload a lot of our players. And West Ham aren't sticking to that £80 million valuation. So if West Ham have a decent season, they started off well, if they're not flirting with relegation, then I can't see them budging on that 80 million valuation, because they see Declan Rice as an integral part of their team. And so if Chelsea feel that the price is too high for him, then they are prepared to wait for 2 years and go in for Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham was a guy who we were linked with heavily over the summer. Us and Manchester United were linked with him, but he chose to Dortmund because obviously he's obviously seen Sancho and how he's developed at Dortmund. So he's thinking, you know what, I can go to Dortmund, I can get into the first team now and play games. But for me, I think what Chelsea could have done if they were smart, and they could have signed Jude Bellingham with a plan, just like we've got with Umbayamba. So what they should have said is, you know what, we'll sign you. We're going to loan you to Dortmund or someone for 2 seasons to carry on your career. And we know that you'll get first team football at Dortmund. Once you finish the 2-year loan deal at Dortmund, then you can come back ready to play in our side. So that may have been appealing to him. So that will suit every club. Dortmund get a decent player on a loan fee for 2 seasons. Chelsea can see how he progresses. If he's not sort of developed, actually 16, he will come back at 18. If he wasn't yet developed, he can then have another loan season with them or another club until until he's ready for the first team, because the potential's there, and the club see the potential. The club is following his potential for ages, but I think he didn't want to join us because he didn't feel that he can get into our first team straight away. So going back to this podcast, what I was listening to with the West Ham former West Ham employee, he's saying that he definitely doesn't think he's going to leave. Declan Rice will leave in the winter. He may go in the summer, depending on West Ham's, as I said, West Ham's position. But he's not going to go cheap. West Ham are going to want top dollar for him. So Chelsea, as I said, faced with a dilemma: do we spend 80 million or do we wait to try and go all in for Jude Bellingham? Maybe get him at a cheaper price. And the reason why Chelsea are a bit relaxed on the Declan Rice situation is because Chelsea have found a formation now that works well for the club, with a Kante at the pivot and the two number 8s. So with that in mind, Chelsea know that Kante has got at least 2 to 3 good seasons left in him at Chelsea. So why pay all that money for Declan Rice? They're saying, we can wait for 2 years, 2022, maybe offload Kante then, and then we've got a ready-made replacement in Jude Bellingham. So that's what Chelsea are looking at the moment. They're exploring that avenue at the moment. So Jude Bellingham is kind of a fallback in case Declan Rice doesn't come off, or West Ham are playing hardball. So that is one to keep an eye on. Our interest in this youngster. So it's worth watching him when he plays for Dortmund as well, to check out his progress. Moving on to other midfielders now. There's Ross Barkley. The club have been really impressed with the way that he's playing at Aston Villa. He's obviously been playing really standout performances in Liverpool, and the other week, I can't remember they played. They win 1-3 Arsenal. Yeah, he was great against Arsenal as well. So he's been looking good at Aston Villa. And Frank Lampard has always been a fan of Ross Barkley. He's found him an interesting proposition, and he feels that he's got some skill sets that can be useful to the club. We're monitoring him at Aston Villa just to see how his progression is, and if he has a standout season, then we may think of integrating him back into the side next season. My thing with that is Ross Barkley. Yeah, good player. Yeah, he's a good player. I've never doubted him as being a good player. But playing for Aston Villa, I think, is totally different from playing for Chelsea. At Aston Villa, he's going to get more space to operate, more room. He can be the big fish, one of the big fish. Him and Jack Grealish are the two big fish in a small pond. So the team's kind of built around those two players, and he's playing with a bit more freedom. Chelsea are a high pressure club. The spotlight is on you a bit more, and what you got to remember with Chelsea as well is when teams play Chelsea, they play with a lower block, and they press Chelsea harder, so he's got less room to operate. With a team like Aston Villa, teams go to Aston Villa trying to get the 3 points. They're a bit more expansive, a bit more open, and I said he's got that bit more space and room to operate in, and he can run into those areas, the clever box-to-box runner. So that's why I think comparing what he's doing at Villa to when he comes back to Chelsea is kind of different, because it's totally different type of football that you need to play at Chelsea than you play at a club like Aston Villa. Ruben Loftus Cheek, he's another one. Obviously, him, and they said with him, he's at the crossroads of his career at the moment. He's on loan at Fulham. The other week, he was left out of Fulham. He was on the bench for Fulham. So he's having like a bit of a stop-start season again. And I say it's no fault of his own for me, because he's had that big injury, that Achilles injury, which was a lot worse than the one that Callum Hudson-Odoi had. And Callum Hudson-Odoi is still kind of struggling for rhythm and form, but if you think of Ruben's one, it was like a lot worse, as I said, twice as bad as the Callum one. So it takes quite a while to get back to full fitness for him. So the club will be looking at him, look at his progress. Is he going to get back to that? Just on the Sarri, the second half of the season on the Sarri, where he was a standout player for us. I don't know. I'm hoping he can get there. Always like Loftus Cheek, but that's one that we just need to just keep an eye on. And there's a couple more players that they spoke about. Kepa, Frank Lampard has never been impressed with Kepa. He wants him out of the club. He wants him out on loan he's looking for potential loan clubs. If we can just get him on, sell him on a permanent, all the better. So there's other players that they spoke about leaving. Emerson is another one. There's talk about Napoli being after him. So Emerson's another one they want to get rid of. Rudiger's still unhappy. He's only played how many minutes? I think it's about 34 minutes of first team football this season, and he wants out. No, he hasn't played a single Premier League game, has he, Rudiger? He's played in the league, in the cup game, in the Champions League. But so he's not happy with his situation. Obviously, with the Euros coming up, so expect him to be moved out of the club this January time. And I've already mentioned in my video yesterday about Giroud, and because Giroud's only played 70 minutes of football, so Giroud is another one who's probably going to be looking to go. But strangely enough, they didn't mention Marcos Alonso in this report, and because I saw yesterday or the day before that Crystal Palace were interested in a £24 million bid for Alonso. So, but as I said, no mention of Alonso in this report, so don't know why he wasn't included. Jorginho was another one as well who may be moving on, maybe to Serie A, because obviously his match time has been reduced, with Kante being preferred in the holding role, and plus he hasn't been included in the last 2 Premier League matches. But we need cover just in Kante gets injured, so I'm not sure whether we'll sell him in January. For me, I'll probably keep him until the summer and get rid of him then, because the worst thing that can happen is we sell him, Kante gets an injury, and then we've got no one really for that, because I don't think Kovacic would be suited to that lone defensive midfield role. Your turn now, guys. Can you put your comments below all the stories that I've spoke about? What do you think, Jude Bellingham or Declan Rice? Which is your preference? And what do you think about the other transfers? Would you keep Ross Barkley? If you had a choice out of Ross Barkley or Ruben Loftus Cheek, which one would you keep? Which one would you sell? So don't forget, guys, to like, subscribe, turn on all post notifications so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. Until then, bye-bye.